Frankenstuff reveal my greatest invention.
Serve, Gregor!
A hot dog?
Take a bite.
Positively delicious.
I tunnel deep into juicy Hormel Franks and stuff them so with rich Hormel chili.
Vintage Halloween party foods evoke nostalgia for several reasons. Many of these recipes, passed down through generations, remind us of family gatherings, trick-or-treating, and school parties. The flavors and aromas of dishes like pumpkin pie and caramel apple trigger warm memories of past celebrations, while their playful presentations, such as ghostly meringues and monster treats, spark creativity and fun. These beloved foods not only celebrate autumn traditions, but also foster a sense of community and togetherness. So join us as we revisit vintage Halloween party food that have faded. Jello Salad.
I'm going to show you how to make a molded strawberry pineapple Jello salad. Kind of an old-fashioned dish that belongs back in the 1950s or 60s.
Jello salads were a bright and fun part of American cooking that gained popularity in the early 20th century. They became especially popular between the 1950s and 1970s. These colorful, wobbly dishes usually included a mix of fruits, marshmallows, nuts, and sometimes vegetables like carrots and celery. For Halloween, creative cooks would shape them into spooky figures like ghosts or pumpkins, adding a festive flair to gatherings. The history of Jello salads began in the late 19th century when gelatin was considered a luxury item. The invention of powdered gelatin in 1897 made it easier for people to use, and by the 1920s, Jello became a well-known brand. During the Great Depression and World War II, these salads provided a practical way to stretch ingredients and make meals more interesting. Although they are not as popular today, Jello salads still bring back fond memories and can sometimes be found at themed parties and family events. Popcorn balls.
Easy to make caramel popcorn balls for Halloween.
Let's see what's cooking. It's time for yo-yo.
Popcorn balls have been a favorite Halloween treat since the early 1900s. They were especially popular in rural areas where growing popcorn was easy. Before store-bought candy became the standard, these homemade snacks were given to trick-or-treaters. The basic recipe involves mixing popped popcorn with a syrup made from sugar, corn syrup, and butter, then shaping the sticky mixture into balls. Some versions add marshmallows for extra sweetness. The tradition of making popcorn balls goes back to the late 19th century, with the first recipe published in 1861. By the 1950s, they became a common sight at Halloween parties. Their simple recipe and the easy-to-find ingredients made them accessible for many families to create together, although they are not as popular today. Popcorn balls sometimes return at vintage-themed parties and events, reminding people of the enjoyable treats from the past. Making them together can still bring joy to families today. Caramel or candy apples.
Spooky Halloween skull caramel apples. They're a great treat to make for Halloween.
Caramel apples became a popular treat during the fall and Halloween in the 1950s. Their origins relate to the many apples available in autumn and the growing popularity of caramel as a candy ingredient. The first caramel apple was made by Dan Walker, who worked for Kraft Foods. He melted leftover caramels after Halloween and dipped fresh apples into the melted mixture, creating a sweet and sticky snack. To make caramel apples, fresh apples are dipped into melted caramel and then rolled in nuts, sprinkles, or other toppings. When the caramel hardens, they turn into a delightful treat. These apples were especially loved at Halloween parties and sometimes given to children while trick-or-treating before store-bought candy became more common. A similar treat, candy apples, were created in 1908 by William W. Call, who dipped apples in red cinnamon candy, resulting in the classic red candy apple. Both treats bring back memories of autumn celebrations. Baked pumpkin seeds.
Seeds. Simple, tasty, and fun. It is perfect for snack time.
Baked pumpkin seeds come from the tradition of carving pumpkins, which started with Irish and Scottish immigrants in the 19th century. After families carve jack-o'-lanterns, they scoop out the seeds and bake them into a crunchy snack. To prepare the seeds, they are cleaned, dried, and mixed with oil and salt, sometimes with added spices. The seeds are then roasted in the oven until they are crispy, creating a simple and savory treat that captures the feeling of fall. As immigrants settled in America, they brought this pumpkin carving and seed baking tradition with them. At first, people used turnips and other root vegetables, but pumpkins quickly became the favorite choice because they were easy to carve and plentiful. By the middle of the 20th century, baked pumpkin seeds had become a popular snack at Halloween parties and autumn gatherings, enjoyed by many people across the country. Apple cider donuts.
Today we're making these super easy, super delicious apple cider donuts.
Apple cider donuts are traditionally linked to fall festivals, but have an old connection to Halloween, especially in New England. These donuts go well with warm apple cider and were popular at Halloween parties. They are made by adding apple cider to the batter, giving them a light apple flavor. After frying, they get a sprinkle of cinnamon sugar, making them a warm autumn treat. The history of apple cider donuts goes back to American colonial times when cooks would combine apples with dough for frying. They became more popular in the early 1950s thanks to the Donut Corporation of America. This company, started by Adolph Levitt in the 1920s, made these donuts famous by introducing a machine to produce them quickly. By the mid-20th century, apple cider donuts became a favorite snack at Halloween parties and fall celebrations. Witch's Brew Punch.
Mommy's Witch's Brew for a spooky Halloween celebration.
Witch's Brew Punch became a popular drink at Halloween parties during the 1950s and 1960s. This colorful and spooky punch included exciting elements like dry ice, which created a misty effect, and floating eyeballs made from peeled grapes and lychees. The punch usually mixed fruit juices such as orange, grape, or cranberry with soda, and sometimes sherbet, to make a foamy and colorful drink. The tradition of Halloween punch grew as themed parties became more elaborate. Hosts worked hard to create a spooky atmosphere, and Witch's Brew Punch was a great choice. Using dry ice gave a dramatic touch, making the punch bowl look like a bubbling cauldron. This not only made the drink eye-catching, but also added to the eerie feeling of the party. The combination of the colorful punch and the fun effects made Halloween celebrations more festive and memorable for everyone. Green spaghetti.
Today I'm going to share with you guys a super easy and delicious green spaghetti.
Green spaghetti was a unique and creative dish that became popular at Halloween parties, especially in the 1950s and 1960s. This dish involved adding green food coloring or pureed spinach to spaghetti to make it look like witches' fingers or other spooky themes. It was a playful way to make meals more festive and engage kids in the Halloween spirit. The idea of using food coloring in pasta came from a larger trend of themed party foods that emerged in the mid-20th century America. During this time, Halloween parties featured elaborate decorations and themed foods meant to entertain and delight guests. Green spaghetti was a visually striking and enjoyable dish that was easy to prepare. In recent decades, as people have placed more importance on whole foods and natural ingredients, the use of artificial food dyes in cooking has become less common, leading to fewer appearances of green spaghetti at modern celebrations. Soul cakes.
Soul cakes. These cakes made from flour, sugar, and spices. Soul cake is one of most popular cakes.
Soul cakes were part of a medieval custom known as souling. During this tradition, people went door to door on Halloween or All Souls Day, offering prayers for the dead in exchange for food. This practice is seen as an early version of trick-or-treating. Soul cakes were small, round cakes made from flour, sugar, and spices like nutmeg and cinnamon. They sometimes included currants or raisins, with a cross marked on top to represent a prayer for the souls. The souling custom originated in medieval Britain, where it was common for poor individuals to sing and say prayers for the deceased while asking for food. Soul cakes were given as charity, and eating each cake was believed to help release a soul from purgatory. This custom became especially popular between the 15th and 17th centuries, showcasing a blend of community spirit and remembrance of the dead. Molasses cookies.
Do you love soft, richly spiced cookies that just scream holidays? Say hello to my molasses cookie recipe.
Molasses cookies were a favorite treat in the early 20th century, especially in rural areas. People loved these cookies because they were hearty and flavorful, making them great for Halloween and autumn celebrations. Soft and chewy, they were made with molasses, ginger, cinnamon, and cloves, giving them a rich, spicy taste. For Halloween, bakers sometimes shaped the cookies into spooky designs to add to the festive atmosphere. The history of molasses cookies goes back to colonial America, where molasses was a popular sweetener because it was easy to find and affordable. During World War II, when sugar was hard to get, molasses became even more important for baking. These cookies were a common sight in many American kitchens, providing a comfortable and nostalgic treat for families to enjoy together. The combination of unique flavors and traditions kept these cookies beloved through generations. Spiced apple cider. Spiced apple cider has been a warm and comforting drink during the fall for many years. It is a popular choice at Halloween parties and fall festivals because it offers a sweet and spicy taste that matches the chilly weather. The tradition of spiced cider began in medieval Europe when people heated apple cider and added spices to keep warm during the colder months. This practice may have started even earlier during Roman times. To make spiced apple cider, fresh apple cider is heated and simmered with spices such as cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg. Sometimes orange slices or a splash of rum are added for more flavor. This drink is typically served warm, often with a cinnamon stick for stirring. It not only warms you up, but also fills the home with a delightful, festive smell that brings the cozy feeling of autumn indoors. Vintage Halloween party foods remind us of the delightful treats that have faded from our celebrations. What's your favorite Halloween snack from the past? If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, please like, share, and subscribe for more nostalgic content. Thanks for watching.